Prime Minister and the President going to sign a deal soon to sort of carry this forward?
Well, I don't want to go into the area of speculating when this is going to happen, how it's going to happen, but I'm just saying this morning to those who are listening to us, our major preoccupation, of course, is the economy.
Yeah. People are worried that this might involve some sacrifice of sovereignty if the words used in the draft agreement are to integrate certain policies. Are we going to have to harmonize immigration policy? Or?
Well, you know, here again, this is the same speech that Bob Rae held in the House on Friday. You know, our preoccupation is making sure that we get Canadians back in the workplace. We open our borders. We work with the United States, our largest trading partner. But you know, in terms of what this impact is going to have, etc. I think this is pure speculation until such time as a document is produced, and I don't want to talk about when that document is going to be produced. I think that we should all just breathe a lot more easily and continue to worry about the economy.
Back with our journalists. So, Craig, I want to talk about this interview that you did with Lawrence Cann, the Foreign Affairs Minister, off the top. This border perimeter security issue, I thought it was a big issue.
I did too, and I still think it is, but I felt like I was living in a parallel universe. It was as if it didn't exist. And I think what's happening here is there has been a premature revelation of the government's election plan. We are promising you this major new issue with the United States if you elect us, and it fits in with the two things that they have been promoting, most importantly, security and the economy. How can you beat it? The trouble is it leaked early, and now they got to deal with that.
But Bob, it seemed like he was backing away from it.
Yes, but I have actually a copy of the draft agreement, which I don't want to show on television.
Which doesn't exist.
Which doesn't exist. It says,
pure speculation.
It says, a declaration by the President of the United States of America and the Prime Minister of Canada beyond the border, a shared vision for perimeter security and competitiveness. This is a deal that's supposed to be signed in January. So, you know what? There's no reason for them to back away from it, except that perhaps, you know, this was leaked ahead of time.
Premature.
But there are very serious issues on the border since 9/11, and the government, both the Liberals and this government, understand that we have a lot of trade, that we have to get this moving quickly through the border without these constant delays. Most stuff is now on-time delivery. So what they're talking about is making that much smoother move through the borders for our goods and services, as well as going along with better security. For example, biotechnology data, which make it a lot easier for people to go through airports without all the hassles.
What underlines all of this is still the American view that we cannot be trusted to protect their country from terrorist attack. And so where we're going here is mainly security, but they're trying to make it an economic issue.
No, it is an economic issue, and it's a security issue. It's a huge economic issue. What the Americans are saying is Canada and the United States are basically such an integrated economy that we have to work together on security and commerce.
Okay, Jim.
Well, I thought the interview was fascinating. You asked him about this, and he started talking about drug smuggling from Mexico. And I think that's what it tells you, is that this has turned out, instead of being a positive for the government, is now turning into a bit of a communications conundrum. You know, one of the successes over the past few years is these discussions have been going on for years now under George Bush and the Liberal government, and
it was their idea.
And it's always been relatively under wraps because it's been kind of incremental improvements in that relationship. Well, now it's beginning to look like some kind of mini NAFTA, and everybody in this country can remember how inflamed the NAFTA debate was. Plus, they've got the cart before the horse. They're going to sign this thing and then have discussion. So I think they're in danger of turning this, what might have been quite a modest thing and a success for them, into a dangerous political issue at a time when people are starting to...
Let's put things in perspective. Everybody was worried about, first of all, free trade.
Suddenly, after 2 years of depressing news about unemployment, a ray of hope is shining through dark clouds. U.S. employers added 216,000 jobs in March, bringing down the jobless rate to 8.8%.
Unemployed to employed That still hasn't picked up much.
Construction, a key indicator of recovery, remained flat, but manufacturing added 17,000 jobs. Healthcare, about 37,000. Business service industries, around 78,000, and the rest were temporary jobs. Still, say economists, at 200,000 a month getting jobs, it would take until the year 2019 to return to about 5% unemployment, the number out of work before the recession began. But seeing the news, Americans appear somewhat optimistic now that the economy is showing the first real signs of recovery.
I feel like the economy's on its way back.
I think we're on the right track. I mean, it's going to be a slow, long haul to get out of the very deep hole.
Job hunters at job fairs say they too expect better times are coming with the news that some got jobs last month.
And I know something is going to come to me, most definitely.
Unemployment for blacks and Latinos stayed higher than the general population. For blacks, 15.5%, Latinos, 11.3%. Small businesses were hiring in March. It was government employment that declined. But economists say it's not time yet to celebrate. There are still 13 million people officially out of work in the United States, and if you include those who are still looking and those who are underemployed, the number is more like 25 million people who do not have full-time employment. Despite the uptick in employment, the long-term unemployed, 6 million of them out of work more than 6 months, stayed high in March.
It's unprecedented right now, the number of long-term unemployed.
While praising the new numbers and taking credit, even Obama admitted the U.S. is not out of the woods yet.
Despite that good news, everybody here knows we've got a lot of more work to do.
Many economists worry the apparent trend will prompt millions who've given up looking for a job to start looking now, swelling the jobless numbers again.
This has been very much a profits recovery. Profits have bounced back very strongly. It has not been an employment recovery.
Musa and other economists do see a positive trend in the new jobless figures, but even though 200,000 Americans got jobs in March, they say it's still just a drop in the bucket. Mike Kellerman, Press TV, Washington.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Sunday, April 3rd, 2011. I'm Darko. Welcome to this news bulletin, everyone. This is my website, www.ggnonline.com, ggnonline.com. I posted a poll up here, and so far we have a majority, 37%, saying that U.S. dollar will cease to be the world reserve currency within the next 12 months, followed by within the next 2 years. One of the options that I failed to put, and I actually thought about it right after, and I had a listener comment on it, was that it's already been removed as the world reserve currency. So I'm sorry for not including that option. This is one of those polls where I can have up again. I can put it up again in the near future. So if you'd like to follow me via FeedBurner, you can subscribe and get a little email when I post my videos, or you can follow me on Blogger here. And if you have a Facebook account, which I think most people do, you can go down here and follow this blog by clicking on that button there. So, all right. So just a quick comment on that North American Union video clip with that one individual who basically was representing, who was pro kind of SPP, right, Security and Prosperity Partnership, that was signed between Mexico and Bush a while back. And they talk about, I can't talk about the specifics. Well, that's all they do. They just, these people, these business gurus, these globalists that come on here, I consider them talking heads, are sitting there trying to promote this global governance, this abolition of national sovereignty, right? And I'm a proponent of a stateless society too. So that kind of says a lot. At least if you're not going to have no government, at least have a national government with your sovereignty. Because if you're not going to have that, I'm telling you, it's going to be bad news for the individual. And he kept saying he couldn't say anything on the specifics or when or how it's going to happen. No, they do. They have it all planned out. They've been talking about this. The Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, the RAND Corporation, the CFR, whatever. They all get together. That's what they talk about. That's what these international global think tanks talk about. And they use trade as a way to crush national sovereignty. So, I just wanted to. And lastly, he said his major preoccupation was with the economy. Their major preoccupation is dumping the U.S. dollar. That's what their major preoccupation is right now. So if you just listen to what that douchebag's saying, and pardon my French, you know what he's saying. So I don't think I have to say anymore. We're going to start off with commodities here. And Brent crude, it was at $118 a barrel. It was up $1.30. And then you have gas oil futures up $7, and then heating oil up $2, natural gas down about 2 cents. And then when you move down here to the cocoa was up almost $60 and $35, coffee down, and corn was up $42, cotton down $4, and then wheat down $3 and $1, soy down $16, and then we move down here to precious metals. You have copper, and that was down $4.90. Gold is now at $1,428 per ounce, and it was down $11. Silver was down 15 cents, and is trading at $37.73. It says here oil rises a 2.5-year peak on job rise, supply fear, and then moving on more to commodities. Wheat soars as La Nina persistence threatens harvest from China to U.S. Wheat crops in China, the world's biggest producer, and the U.S. are threatened by continuing drought as La Nina persists, weather forecasters said. And here we have this. Dollar passes $104 U.S. cent mark. It says here the Australian dollar was higher on Monday morning after breaching the 104 U.S. cent mark in early morning trade. It was the first time since the currency reached this level since it was floated in December of 1983. And then the next story we have is investors hide from the U.S. dollar. A universal dislike of the dollar is driving investors into a wide variety of assets that historically haven't been in demand at some time. And we're going to look into what those currencies might be. Okay, we have G20 considers wider role for China's yuan. And it says here G20 leaders have moved towards agreeing that China's currency should have a wider role in global finance. You see the underlying agenda here? That's what it is. China to further expand cross-border renminbi business, central bank official. I covered an article about 2-3 months ago. I thought it was big news, but I don't even think it was covered at all by any type news agencies at all. And that was that China was basically dumping the dollar in bilateral trade. So. And then we're going to move on here. Treasury market braces for higher interest rates. And then 2-year Treasury notes decline on Fed stimulus views. Employment increases. And then mortgage rates edge higher. And then we have growth stalls interest rate rise. Interest rates are unlikely to rise until possibly as late as November due to major uncertainties over the UK's growth outlook. Economists are predicting ahead of this week's monetary policy meeting. And I covered some news articles last video set, which was on about 3 days ago, and basically a lot of the countries, most main countries, U.S., Europe, the EU, basically China, and other countries were looking at basically an interest rate hike. So now they're saying that they're not going to have it. But Ron Paul says when interest rate rises, municipal bonds will be in trouble. So U.S. unemployment rate falls to a new 2-year low of 8.8% or 25% if you include those that are still out of work and not collecting benefits. Then I found this is an article, it's a little older, March 25th, 2011, unpaid jobs, the new normal. While businesses are generally wary of the risk of using unpaid labor, companies that have used free workers say it can pay off when done right. And the first thing I thought of was what Seinfeld, when Kramer was working for free, you know. And so that's what we have right now. And I said this is a restructuring of the economy, right? The American worker, and George Carlin, he says it in his little bit there, that basically this is a restructuring. This is basically the American worker losing all of his dignity and his standard of living and becoming basically a slave worker, and just basically to get used to it. Why? And I've talked about this too. Service jobs. U.S. service industries probably grew at close to fastest pace since 2005. That was the biggest increase in hiring too. So please check me out in part 2. This is GGN. I'm Darko. Thank you.